winds of Orient are bearing gifts. We traverse afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. The star, born a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I bring to crown him again. King forever, ceasing never, over us all to reign. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Frankincense to offer have I, incense songs a deity nigh, prayer and praising, all men raising, worship him God most high. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Thy perfect light. Myrrh is mine, its bitter perfume breathes the life of gathering gloom, sorrowing, sighing, bleeding, dying, sealed in the stone cold tomb. Glory is now, behold him arise, King and God in sacrifice. Alleluia, alleluia, earth to heaven replies. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Thy perfect light. Thy perfect light. Thy perfect light. Thy perfect light.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is you're joining us. We're glad you're here. I'm the Reverend Sheryl Butler, and this is Journey Road Ministries, where we seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with our God. Well, today is January 3rd, 2021. So many people think Christmas is over, that it only happens on December 25th. But there are 12 days of Christmas, and today is the 10th day of Christmas. So Christmas will officially end January 5th. And then traditionally in many churches, January 6th is celebrated as Epiphany, the time when the Magi visit. Now, the Christian church is not a monolith. There are many different traditions in the church. The church I belonged to when I was younger was not a very liturgical church, and so for a long time, Christmas was just December 25th. We didn't celebrate as Epiphany or many of these other church celebrations. So not all churches are the same. As I noted on Christmas, in this country, the Puritans made celebrating Christmas illegal, which was really brought on by the fact that Christmas had really become some kind of a drunken brawl. And so they felt it really should be a more spiritual and time of reflection. the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates their Christmas on January 7th. Um, so we will follow the tradition of celebrating Epiphany the Sunday before January 6th. And so today is Epiphany Sunday, and we will be talking about the arrival of the Magi to visit the Christ child. So the Gospel of Matthew records the scenes of the Magi's journey, that following the stars that have appeared, which is what Epiphany means, to lead them to the newborn Jesus. So let's listen now to the story from Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. At about that time, some astrologers from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in far-off eastern lands and have come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed by their question, and all Jerusalem was filled with rumors. He called a meeting of the Jewish religious leaders. "Did the prophets tell us where the Messiah would be born?" he asked. "Yes, in Bethlehem," they said, "for this is what the prophet Micah wrote. O little town of Bethlehem, you are not just an unimportant Judean village, for a governor shall rise from you to rule my people Israel." Then Herod sent a private message to the astrologers, asking them to come see him at this meeting. He found out from them the exact time when they first saw the star. Then he told them, "Go to Bethlehem and search for the child, and when you find him, come back and tell me, so that I can go and worship him too." After this interview, the astrologers started out again. And look, the star appeared to them again, standing over Bethlehem. Their joy knew no bounds. Entering the house where the baby and Mary, his mother, were, they threw themselves down before him, worshiping. Then they opened their presents and gave him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But when they returned to their own land, they didn't go through Jerusalem to report to Herod, for God had warned them a dream to go another way. May God bless the reading and the hearing of the word. So the appearing of the star, which led the wise men to witness the ultimate appearance of God coming into the world in human flesh, is remembered each year on Epiphany Sunday. Of course, over time, the word epiphany has come to be used whenever we receive a sudden, striking realization about something. We have an epiphany. We see an issue clearly. At the heart of the word and the use in scripture and church history is a place, a time, a word, a way in which God shows up, and most specifically, God's appearance to us in Jesus. As we have read in Matthew, after the Magi had followed the appearance of the star to Jesus, God gently warned them not to return to King Herod. Or, as we know, King Herod had some violence in mind. So the text says they left for their country by another way. They took a different route home. The appearance of Jesus' birth changed them. And his appearance is also meant to change us as well. The Epiphany, the appearance of Jesus, inaugurated a universal blessing. Jesus comes to the insiders, the chosen ones, by being born of the house a lineage of David. He came as a blessing to Israel. But two, the star appeared to the Eastern Magi, along with a shelter given to Jesus and his family by neighboring Egypt as they fled Herod's violence. Flags for us that his appearance is meant to be a blessing to outsiders, the not so chosen as well. So what does this story from 2,000 years ago have to say to us today? You know, what is the message for us? Now, if you look at the creche in the picture, the manger scene, it was something we purchased in our trip to Israel. And we were in Bethlehem during the time the Orthodox Church was celebrating Christmas on January 7th. And we visited the Church of the Nativity, which is the oldest site continuously used as a place of worship in Christianity. And there's two main worshiping areas, one where the Roman Church celebrates, and also the Eastern Church. But this is supposedly, traditionally, is considered to be the birthplace of Jesus. Now, we also visited a refugee camp in Bethlehem and spent the night with a Muslim family who were very welcoming and had wonderful hospitality. These are people that whose land had been stolen from them, basically from 1948, and they still had no home to go back to. And we experienced the wall that you would think, many people think that wall separates, the Israel from the West Bank, keeping the Palestinians out, supposedly for security. However, the wall actually cuts through Palestinian land on the West Bank and often separates families, separates people from being able to get jobs or go to school, and oftentimes creates a delay in even accessing hospitals. So if you look closely in this picture of this creche we own, you'll see a wall which is preventing the wise men, the three magi, from arriving to the manger, to where Jesus is. So would the wise men be able to visit Jesus today? There are many walls that are built, and not just the physical walls. I think in too many of our churches, we've built internal walls to keep those we think is others out. There's too many people that are not welcome, and we all like to think that we're right, and so even those progressive churches that it's most every church I go to, we talk about being welcoming in church. We believe everyone should be welcome, but the reality is that is just too often not the case, even with these more progressive churches that would welcome gays and lesbians and different people. They were too often they might not be too welcoming to more conservative beliefs. And how do you welcome people who would do harm. Um, and it's not such an easy thing. And we think of this message that the Christ child brought. Um, it does seem the church too often misses that message that was born in that manger, the message that the wise men sought and that wise people still seek. In his new seeds of contemplation, Thomas Merton, who is a Catholic priest and considered a mystic, if we believe in the incarnation of the Son of God, there is no one on earth in whom we are not prepared to see in mystery the presence of Christ. Merton spoke frequently to our being other Christ. And he writes, we ourselves are the second Adam because we ourselves are Christ. In us, the image of God, which is complete and entire in each individual soul, is also in all of us the image of God. We ourselves are Christ, and that we are all dwelling in one another by virtue of the unity of the divine image reformed by grace. Not only us, but everything that is holy, he insisted. All beings carry the image of God and of Christ and of the Buddha nature within them. And again, we do not see the blinding one in black emptiness. He speaks to us gently in 10,000 things. He shines not on them, but from within them. So it is easy to see Christ in those in whom we agree and those who appear to be good or kind and compassionate. It's not so easy to see Christ in those who seem to be causing harm, those whom we disagree with, those who seem to be terribly flawed people. Certainly alone, we cannot do it. I know there are those that I struggle to see Christ in, to feel kindly about, or any compassion. Those that I like to judge. It's particularly difficult at this time in our own nation, where we are so divided down political lines. And each group sees their own righteousness and seems to see evil in the other. And we have Christians that accuse other Christians of not being Christian. And I'm often guilty of that also, but really, this is not ours to judge. That is within God's hands. Ours is to be the hands and feet of Christ in the world, and that our actions need to show love and compassion for all whom we encounter. It's not that we are not to call out evil that we see in the world, but we are reminded that God's image is in, and Christ is in all people, even if when we cannot see it. And by ourselves, we cannot do that. So let us seek the Christ child and his message. Allow God to transform our hearts so that we may be the hands and feet of Christ in the world, and that with our actions show love and compassion for all whom we may encounter, especially those whom the world cannot love. And so I wish you blessings for this new year, and that we truly are the light and the love that shines in the world. Amen.